This is the Mini 2, an electric shortboard from Wowgo. I've been using this little board for the past few months and have been having so much fun on it that I decided I would make a video review for it. In this video I will be going over my experience with it with over 200 miles of riding. So with that said, let's get into it. To give you a quick rundown of the specs for this board, it has a top speed of 25 miles per hour, 180 watt-hour battery, its weight is roughly 15 pounds, its length is 29.5 inches, it's using 680 watt hub motors, its ESC is using Hobbywing, which is very common, its wheels that I am using are 105mm Cloudwheels, but it also can be equipped with the standard 90mm street wheels. Its trucks are its own proprietary 45-degree angle trucks, and it's using a concave Canadian maple deck. Part of the reason I bought this board over the competition was because of its styling. It has this purple and black theme both on top and bottom. Compared to the other short boards, I feel this one looks the best style-wise. Bottom of the board is a single enclosure which other short boards don't have. It makes sense to do it this way because the board is very stiff and doesn't flex. The deck has a fairly deep concave to it, which at first took some time to get used to, but over time now it feels very normal. It has a nice kicktail with a pad on the back too, but I've noticed my pad is not quite flush with the end of the board. Not quite sure if this is intentional or not. The remote is a very basic design. There's only one button and a roller on top that goes two directions, forward in one direction and brake in the other. You single press the remote to cycle through the speed modes. Double pressing it makes it go into reverse. There's 3 speed modes and then a turbo mode. The turbo mode, if not prepared for it, can throw you off the board, as this is what happened to me when I first tried it. One improvement I would like to see in the remote is instead of showing 5 units of battery, use a percent value instead. While I know there are more powerful boards out there, I felt like there was enough power and speed for me in this little board. I usually keep the speed mode either on 2 or 3. Rarely do I use the turbo mode. I have been up some very steep hills, and while the board does noticeably drop in speed, it still was able to power up them. Voltage sag does occur in this board though, and it seems to start around 40% battery left. Once you get below 15% or so is when you really see a difference in power. The brakes are pretty good for a hub motor, very smooth in execution, but they won't bring you to a sudden stop if you need them to. Overall good brakes though. There is some off-roading potential since I have the Cloudwheels equipped. On grass it struggles, but can still survive through it if I keep moving. Dirt roads somewhat work, but I was experiencing a lot of issues keeping traction and the board stable. So I usually stick to paved paths, but I would say some light off-roading is possible. When I first got this board, it came pre-equipped with the 90mm polyurethane street wheels. I tried these at first, but I quickly discovered that I would need to switch to the Cloudwheels. My roads and paths where I live are very rough. I didn't realize how bad they were until I started riding on them with this board. I felt every single bump, rock, pebble, gap. The combination of a stiff shortboard plus hub motors plus regular polyurethane wheels are a setup for a very uncomfortable ride. It didn't take me long to switch to the Cloudwheels, which made a very big difference in absorbing road vibrations and bumps. Highly recommend everyone to get the Cloudwheels unless you have good riding conditions and where you live. Even with the Cloudwheels, I did feel my feet were getting worn by the time I got to that 10th mile. It's definitely not the most comfortable board, but this is to be expected coming from a short board. For about the first 170 miles, I've been using the stock bushings. I then at that point switched to some orangutan purple nipples. I'm not an expert on bushings, but it does feel that the nipples offer better carving while maintaining stability. The stock bushings are fine for the most part, but you can probably benefit by putting something else in their place. Probably the main reason for owning a shortboard over other electric boards would be its portability. Since it's under 30 inches, I can easily store this thing in a gym locker, which I do regularly. Also, since its weight is only 15 pounds, I can use the kicktail and then grab it by the front truck for carrying. I can also put this board in a special skateboard backpack and carry it around that way as well. I've done a couple different range tests, bringing the battery down to 5%. In one test I performed on a flat, well-paved circuit-style path on a day about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. The battery lasted about 12 miles according to the remote. If I'm going up and down hilly terrain, it's more around 10 miles in range. With my weight being 170 pounds, it's about what I expected. Remember that I'm using Cloudwheels, so if I switch to the 90mm wheels, I would be getting better mileage. Compared to the other electric shortboards out there, spec-wise I would say the Wowgo holds up fairly well. However, a major difference that brands like Meepo and Tiny offer is an option to choose a larger battery for their shortboards. It would be nice if Wowgo had this option for longer range rides. I feel that Wowgo has the best aesthetics though. The grip tape, the deck colors, the single enclosure, all make it an attractive looking ride. At around 170 miles, this is where my battery died. Since I was still under warranty, I contacted Wowgo support and they sent me a new one. There might be some issue with this battery since I'm seeing a common thread in reviews of other people needing battery replacement. But this could also just be the nature of electric skateboard batteries. Other than the battery, I would say the board is holding up fairly well. Under the board I have some marks from wheel bite, and I also have marks on the back of the kicktail. The Cloudwheels have some small deterioration occurring, but the tread is still holding up. I think I've had the motors overheat a few times while braking downhill as the remote started vibrating on me in high heat conditions. When this occurred, I touched the side plates of the hub motors and they were very hot to the touch, so this is something to think about when using the board in high heat. If you're looking for an electric board for short commutes that is more portable, I would say this is the board for you considering the price tag. I find it most useful going to the gym, the grocery store, or even the local park on any given day. I would not recommend this for anyone looking for long, comfortable rides, but this should be obvious that this is not that kind of board. Even though my battery died, Wowgo support made up for it by working with me and eventually sending me a new battery, so big ups to Wowgo. Improvements I would like to see is a more accurate reading in the battery on the remote, a better battery both in reliability and capacity, and I would like to see a belt drive variant from them in the future just to have the option. I plan on doing follow-up videos on how this board is doing with more miles on it, so stay tuned to see how this board is holding up. I hope you found this review helpful. Thanks for watching.